right? So I'll take you guys, some 15 years back, so roughly yeah, roughly, I'll take you to 2005, you know, and 2005, Google was very new, Google, Facebook, which are the easier, partnership channels or marketing channels for digital across the world were very, very new, just coming up, right? We had very, very limited social networks, right? And at that point of time, I had this unique opportunity to do a international content tie-up, for timesofindia.com. Well, timesofindia.com was in a very, very different shape at that point of time. It was not what you see today. We were still the largest, and sorry, I would suggest you guys to be on mute, and if you want to speak, maybe raise your hands. Yeah. So guys, so I was talking about almost 15 years back. So Times of India was looking for international content. When I say international content, at that point of time, international content for digital was not so easily available, because it was not possible for every digital firm to have their international journalists, being placed, globally at all the major cities. That was a very high cost, and digital was not a huge business as it is today. So the task came to me, and I thought of what is the way to go, and in the process I found about a Chinese agency, a news agency from China. Now it's very well known, but at that point of time, not many people within the industry knew about it. Its name was Xinhua, Xinhua. So Xinhua was world's largest news agency with more than 300 journalists globally, covering only international news. So what was the easier way for even a large player like timesofindia.com to get the international content? Go and tie up with Xinhua. But why would Xinhua tie up with you, unless and until you pay them a premium for news? But again, there was always a catch. If Xinhua wanted to reach the Indian audience and know more people know about India, and Indian people talking about Xinhua and Chinese stories, because of course the 50% of stories were focused on China, right? And there was a lot of interest at that point of time, picking up on Chinese business, billion-dollar companies, which are we have more than 100 unicorns in India at this point of time. But let me tell you, at that point of time, we didn't have even one within digital. So in China, we had firms which are worth more than $10 billion. So there was Sina, there was Sohu, there was NetEase, Alibaba, Tom Online. You might have heard some of those names, right? So news around that, for the business sections of TOI.com, and that made sense for Xinhua. And this strategic partnership took place for just $1,000. So we had to just pay $1,000, and dollar was at 40 rupees at that point of time. So imagine at 40,000 rupees, we were getting exclusive, text, audio and video content, certain numbers every day from Xinhua, exclusive to us in India, for 2 years duration. That developed us. So this kind of strategic partnership developed good for Xinhua in India and for TOI in a very big way, to make sure that their audience, which were more than 20 million at that point of time, to get access to this content almost free of cost. So this strategic partnerships, so what I mean to say is there has to be always something large than a tactical approach in every strategic partnership. You don't do a strategic partnership, for a day, for a week, or for an impact which is seen in a month. You see the impacts in several quarters, sometime, a few years time, but it has to be beneficial for both. Sometime it could be just about the market entry of, a particular player in another market, Sometimes it could be just about a part of the go-to-market strategy of a particular firm. We just might make a tick there, right? And there could be other reasons too, which I'll talk about in my second example. So this was 2007-8, and while I was in Dubai, in a firm, Media One Holdings, and our team, a larger team, was given responsibility of logistics and aviation. You guys must have heard a lot about very large airports coming up in Dubai becoming the back end of the of the logistic hub. 3 very, very large ports coming up, right? And this was opportunity for a media firm to get into this space. Me along with a couple of my team members were giving the charge to do something within this domain. Now, logistics and aviation is absolutely new and very, very niche. Unless and until you have worked in that for decades, it's very, very difficult to get inroads in that. So we did some work, we did some homework, we tried to do whatever we can for a couple of months, but it was not so straight for us to get inroads, right? And then one fine day, analyst within the team, came to me and told me that, why can't we go and, speak with, some logistic and aviation, marketing organizations. We started speaking with them, but everyone wanted a, deep cut before, and a sort of, some revenue share deal before doing anything. So that also didn't work for us. So we thought that, we found after 6 months of struggling that why don't we go to some of the world's largest, being a media company, one of the world's largest, consortiums or associations, the way we have CII and SHM in India, right? And we found about association called FAC, Farnborough Aerospace Consortium. So if you Google it, you will find out. And we went to Farnborough and we realized that Farnborough was, at that point of time, world's largest private airport, for jets and others, so not for public, private airport, right? And FAC had 300 plus members, and these were the world's largest aviation and logistic companies based out of UK. We took a trip there, spoke with the several, people at several levels, and ultimately reached the CEO of FAC. I had a meeting with him at the airport and told him that, we have come from a media house and we have these portals, 2 portals for logistic and aviation. We want to build it, struggling to do it. And you guys you and your 300 companies, how many of them are in UAE and Dubai and Middle East? He said something like 30, but more than 100 are planning to, enter Dubai. So we said, well, we can be your medium, so we can do events together. We can do your PR releases, right? Some of the specialists within logistic and aviation can start writing, columns within, our portals, right? And ultimately, day one, it was just making their companies inroads with our networks in UAE and Middle East. But later on, most of them ended up becoming the big time advertisers and sponsors for our portal. And our portal actually for logistic, the LNN News, and the Middle East Logistic became the largest logistic and aviation portal across Middle East and North Africa, and won many awards in the process, right? So what I mean to say, right, that it led to this, that partnership is still on as we are talking, close 12 to 13 years down the line. I am not there, my team may or may not be there, but that partnership exists, right? So we didn't think tactical. We thought very long term. Although our view was we just wanted some quick revenue to happen in that, right? But that took some time. But whether it was Boeing, whether it was Airbus, whether it was Bombardier, whether it was FedEx, all of them became our big time partners, right? Because we had an association with FAC, right? So one big strategic partnership, large partnership, where both the parties are deriving value in the short and long run, can lead to several other partnerships. The only catch here is that one needs to hold your horses and should not look into something very tactical quarter-wise, right? All of these things, may not, realize the objective for which, they are formed. So this was example 2, right? I'll talk about a third example, very much in the Indian context, talking about, I'll take you to year 2010-11, right? And this was the time, if you guys, remembered 11, 12 years back, mobile marketing had become, was picking up very big time with so many operators coming up, right? It was not just 2 to 3 operators today. Many of them have shut down, but there were at least 8 to 10 operators, mobile operators, which had come to India, right? And there was world's largest mobile marketing company, Welty. It was listed on Nasdaq and the London Stock Exchange both, and they were planning to enter India. While they were a pure mobile technology company, right? Run by Greeks in Athens, headquartered in Athens. They had no idea of Indian market, right? Now, what they wanted is that they wanted their mobile marketing platforms, which used to be called MMP, right? To be, to actually being used by, some of the biggest operators in India, like Airtel, Vodafone, and at that point of time, the Unicom, there were many, Uninor, and across all the circles in India, right? And there were too many circles, and then India was a very complex market, right? So, so they could have gone with the operators. It was a very difficult thing for them to do, right? And in India, at the same time, there was Hindustan Times, which all of you might have heard, right? They had their digital business, but they were very strong with brands and agencies, working with operators with their short codes, 54242, and they were looking for something, big in the mobile business, because Times Internet and other players had become very big in mobile, because of their partnership, and ultimately, both of them went for a joint venture route, a 67-33 JV in favor of Hindustan Times, which ended up becoming an HT Mobile solution, still exists today, became a very big talking point in Indian media, right? For for an international firm listed in 2 stock exchanges, coming and doing a joint venture with one of the largest media companies in India. Again, HT was a listed company, so it made a lot more noise, right? And that it became a team of more than 50 people, doing numerous campaigns across operators. So this gave Welty access to all the operators business. HT was already tied up with them through their short code 54242, right? And for HT, it was all the technology, made by, the founders of Welty were from MIT Media Labs, that kind of technology, being used, and that gave them a head start, and they leverage on it big time, and became a very sustainable business, right? So again, win-win for both, so just giving you an idea of, of absolutely Indian context, right? Well, we will talk about, another example, and then I'll take you to, again to, a combination of 2 markets, India and Middle East, right? So if you guys have, have some idea of Arabic as a language, so all of us write from left to right, but Arabic has been written from right to left, right? Now, since it is written from right to left, it's sometimes very complicated for non-Arabics to learn that in later stage of their life. But if you want to do a voice communication, then it doesn't matter, because you speak, right? And speaking is not from right to left or left to right. It's it's speaking is speaking, right? Very simple, right? And in 2012, 13, right? I was co-founder of a particular startup whose name was Yella Talk. Yella means hi in Arabic, right? And Yella Talk was a social network, mobile social network, primarily for Middle East audience. But I would say Arabic speaking audience, not Middle East audience. Arabic is one of the widely spoken language globally, right? So it was a voice-based social network. So when we started, we had a backend, the technology team in India, and the core people in Dubai. So while we started the firm, well, initially, things looked very great. But when we wanted to really get into the market, right, in the Arabic market, Arabic speaking market. It was very, very difficult for us because first of all, we didn't understand Arabic. There was no Arabic there was no Arabic speaking person in the founding team. We definitely saw huge potential there. We raised some, funding for the firm, the initial funding, the seed funding, right? So, so we realized that we have to do multiple strategic partnerships. It's not one. So what we did is we went to, Manipal, Dubai campus. We knew certain people there. We spoke with the head of Arabic department. We got some Arabic professors on board. At the same time, we got some Arabic influencers on board, who were influencers in, within the Arabic community, right? We also, got one Arabic singer on board, right? And I told them to, come and, make, communities on Yellow Talks so that more and more people start coming, right? So while we were doing this, on one side, we were talking with the education institution. So we tied up with Manipal and we took several students and interns. What they were doing is, the Arabic speaking students in Manipal campus were actually creating content for us because we didn't have appetite to create content. We were actually, completely dependent on the audience which came to create content, which was taking time, right? So we went, and this route actually helped us because we had at one point in time more than 30 students working with us, right? At the same time, we thought that if you're talking about a voice-based thing, why not to go to a radio station? So we went to one of the largest radio stations in UAE called ARN, Arabian Radio Network, right? And they were purely voice because radio is all voice, and we were all voice. So we said, why there can be a cross promotion, right? Although we were small, but this was very interesting for them because they didn't have anything social like this. So it worked, in the favor of both, right? So just to give you an example, right? So on the one side, it's an education institution, completely on the left-hand side of the extreme side of the number line. On the other side, you have Arabian Radio Network, right? So when you start, talking about, exponential growth of a digital business, right? You have to see across the number line. You don't know, which will work for you, which won't, right? But one thing needs to be very clear in mind that we are talking strategic. We are not talking tactical. You can't expect a result day zero, right? But this helps both the parties in the long run, right? And ultimately, we derive our objectives. I will now come to another example, within the education ecosystem, right? So so I was advisor to a very sophisticated English training institution which had come from US to India, right? And I was advising them on market entry. Now this was spoken English, not written English, for people right from age 3 to age 35, 40, 45, 50. There was no bar. This was a very expensive program, right? By Indian standard in year 2014. And the founder was trying to break into the Indian market. And what was the first thing, the first thing that we thought, that we go to these English speaking institutions and that will work for us. But that never worked because they were teaching English for completely different reason. They were teaching English for BPOs and stuff like that. And this was purely digital. This was purely on the web, right? It was a mobile training. It was no offline training. So we came to a conclusion, why not to go to, these new flourishing IB and Cambridge schools in India? Because ultimately the parents of these kids, don't know that kind of, haven't got through that kind of training, right? And we started talking to certain schools, the international schools, which are coming up in and around National Capital Region, NCR to start with. It worked very well for us, right? They were very happy to sign. They were very happy to sign, very happy to become partners, right? And that gave a head start to Samsung Education. It worked very well for those institutions too, because the parents and the teachers were ready to pay something extra for it. The reason being they wanted their kids to just get into the curriculum faster than anyone else. Right. So just to give you an example, how it works. So it was an offline partnership, but ultimately everything it was absolutely for a digital product. Right. Coming to one of the examples within, within the media, within the brands and agencies domain. Right. So I'll talk about year 2017 and, as a part of Times Internet, we were looking at something substantial within our Times of India TOI travel, right? To give a push to the TOI travel, right? So we were trying multiple things, and one of the things that we tried to do is we went and spoke with Hyundai, the Hyundai, the car firm, and we talked with their agency, we talked with the top management in Hyundai, right? And we heard their problems, and the focus was very different. So Hyundai had multiple cars at that point of time. So there was, of course, Creta, there was Verna, there was Grand i10, and each of these cars had their own segmenting, targeting, and positioning, what we call in marketing, right? The focus for a particular car was in one state of India. The focus of another car was in 4 states of India, right? So it was slightly complicated. So we did some homework, and after using the might of Times Group, we devised a particular thing which was one of its kind. It's become sort of case study which has been emulated by many firms now, right? But what we did, we suggested to Hyundai, completely something different from what market was talking. We said that let's do one thing. We realized that there were 20 states where Hyundai wanted to do marketing, right? And and there were 3 to 4 cars they were trying to focus on, right? So we suggested them, why don't we do a 20 states, 45 days, different cars, Hyundai cars, traveling across India, 10,000 kilometers, right? And making a series of videos one by one, having influencers from each state, whichever state the car was crossing, right? And call it road chasers. You can Google it, road chasers Hyundai. You will find many videos on that, right? Do a launch event from India Gate, right? Flag off from India Gate. Have your top management, our top management there. Leveraging the strength of Times Group. Get one of the Miss Indias to come and be a part of the launch event. Have Formula 2 and Formula 3 car racers, young aspiring car racers in India, driving these cars. So, Formula 2 and Formula 3 racers driving these small cars, right? And do some dealer activation events, in some of the states where you want to push a particular car. So, for example, if there was a Grand i10 which was supposed to be launched, in Tamil Nadu. So, do a small launch event while the car is traveling. So car used to change. For example, it started from Delhi and came back to Delhi in 45 days. So, so if it goes from Delhi to Lucknow, then in Lucknow, you will get another car, different car managed. And again, a car which was focused in that particular region, right? Have a launch event, a dealer event, and we tried our level best to have, big influencers, sometimes at least Formula 2 or Formula 3 racer, along with the state Miss Indias, to come and, talk about Hyundai cars and their experience, right? Resulting into 45 videos, right? And becoming intellectual property for digital property for both, Hyundai and, Times Internet, forever, right? And this has become one of the case studies in Indian digital media, right? So it was a strategic partnership between Times Internet and Hyundai, and we have done several of campaigns after that. There is a mutual respect, what we developed post this campaign, right? A lot of hard work, a lot of coordination, logistics, offline, because car will move on the road, it won't move on the net, right? It was a digital campaign. So the car was moving and it went from one place to another. We could, there was all the content being passed to a central team. The videos were made, videos were edited. It was made live on a particular site, and then there was certain contest going on in digital, right? But primarily it was all about, making sure that giving Hyundai what they wanted, right? A thrust, across regions, for certain cars, by having a strategy. So this was a strategic partnership between, a great example of strategic partnership between, Hyundai and Times Internet, right? So I hope that made sense. So just to give you, so I just wanted at least 7 to 8 case studies of strategic partnerships, which completely happened under my umbrella, which I was a part of, to give you guys a context, right? I think, Aditi, I'll be happy to take, questions now, because I think that will be, far more interesting. It will be good to hear from, all the participants, and also learn from them, and add value to whatever they ask.
Yes, please, guys, if you have questions, feel free to ask. You can just raise your hand. Any questions?
So,
Sir, I have a question.
okay.
Yes.
All right, I will go first. So my question is actually, I mean, out of these strategic partnership, how to get monetary value out of it?
Excuse me, so I will request that whoever is asking question, if they can, if they can have their videos on and give just 1 minute intro of themselves, that will be really helpful. Just the name and what they do.
Sure. I hope you can.
I can see you. I can see you. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I'm Manish Gupta. I'm around 20 years of experience. I work in digital transformation space, and so my question is, I mean, out of all these, strategic partnership, how to get monetary value? Basically, what my question is, I mean, even going for any strategic partnership, how to calculate monetary value, and post that, how to derive the benefit out of it? I mean.
Right. Excellent. So that's a great question, Manish. So what I'll do is that I think this will be very, very, if case to case basis. So I can give you example of, for example, if you are okay with the Times Internet and the Hyundai example, if that's okay with you, right?
Yeah.
So what you do is that there is a back-end calculation, of course, to make making a video, 45 videos that travel, right? And all that is a hard cost, right? At the same time, there is a brand has certain, this was a very unique case, and that you will appreciate more because of a big experience, behind you, right? So, so if there are four cars, which one is, which one is trying to make a part of a campaign, right? So what will happen is, for the central budget of Hyundai, right, for this campaign, the marketing budget will come from each one of them, right? So first is that. So just to give you example, for example, the Verna had the least budget, right? The Creta had the least budget, and Hyundai Grand i10 had the largest budget. And just to put you on a lighter note, I'll tell you something, the example why that was the case. Most of you may not remember that, because I know that. So Grand i10, the red color Grand i10, because if you have seen that car, right, that was within the Hyundai ecosystem. It was very, very well known that is a car which was people used to make more, that was used to call a matrimonial car, and people used to give it, during marriage, right? Now it was working in certain states, not working in certain states, right? So the budget came from marketing budget of those individual states, individual team, and the central team, right? So when we combine all this, there was a number, that this is the number that Hyundai will spend, for this entire campaign, right? And within that, so Creta was the least, then it came Verna, and the Grand i10 was the last, at the top, right? And then we had to make sure that the impact against that budget in that region has to be proportionate to that. It can't be different, right? So, right. And then there was a media promotion, there was a print component, there was a digital component, it was being talked on our FM, radio. So there was a cost. So we calculated everything, right? So if after that, there has to be a markup of at least 25 to 30% for any digital campaign, right? I'll tell you why. It is not 25 to 30% because there is always a taxation component on that, right? Post that, right? So it has to be beneficial for also for the organization, but it should touch a 2-digit markup. It should never be in single digit, because if there is so much, unless until it's purely a brand campaign, unless it's purely a brand campaign, you're not looking for anything out of it. It's a PR kind of campaign, right? So just to give you an example, in this case, it was definitely in the, in a significant, 2-digit number, right? But slightly it was complex to, calculate the back end, because it was very, very, you're talking about Hyundai as a brand, you're talking about state marketing budgets, you're talking about individual car budgets, and you're talking about individual car budgets at the national level, at the regional level, at the state level. So the complexity was more from the Hyundai side, less from our side, right? We had to see that, okay, this is what we are spending. This is how much we are leveraging the celebs, right? This is what we'll finally make. But I'll tell you, for a strategic partnership like this, Manish, I think we were not looking for immediately, a big revenue, because this was a more impact thing, right? Many firms now after that, Mercedes and others, have tried to copy that, they've tried to do that, right? But leveraging on the Times Group strength, it was a lot easier for us. Let me be upfront here, right? So this is one case. I will take another case, which will be very more important for, slightly completely different context. So I'll go to the first example of Xinhua News Agency, right? Now I told you that deal was done in $1,000, right? $1,000 is nothing for getting that kind of content, right? But revenue was not the criteria for any one of them. Neither for Xinhua, not for us. Xinhua wanted to make a big noise in a place like India, where 50% Chinese origin stories people should start reading. The context of
they wanted to penetrate India market.
Penetrate India, and not even penetrating. I will say that they just wanted people to know that Xinhua exists. That's it. For this, they could have given us free of cost. It was just because we wanted to have a contract, we had a contract.
So ROI was not basically.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. And imagine for us, within this money, getting international bureau stories, all the text, the videos, and the audio content, and we having, but one thing was there. Whatever came, we had to publish it in the same standard. You can't change it with the agencies, right? You have to make sure, right? So just to give you these two examples, and you can take my coordinates. We'll go to other questions, but we can talk more offline. Connect more offline, right? But fantastic question. Thank you very much. We can go to the next. One second.
I will ask. My name is Rupali Sarkar. I'm from Mumbai and currently working in media and entertainment industry as a media technology partner. So I haven't been working with media from last 12 years. So my specific questions is my journey from technical to salesperson. So I try to do some strategic partnership with related to business. So being being a spokesperson to talk about the partnership, what skills someone should have and what inputs he should have taken so that he can have a good communication over a deal. Like what preparation he should do before talking about the partnership.
Right. Rupali, so that's a good question. Some people might think that it's too basic a question, but I'll tell you it's too important a question, right? When you initiate a strategic partnership, how do you go about it? Right? So I'll tell you example. So when I was in Dubai and I was told about logistic and aviation, I only knew the spelling of logistic and aviation, right? And nothing else, right? That too in English, not in Arabic, I could not write, So I had no idea, I had absolutely no idea what to do. Of course, today we are far more prepared, in terms of the social networks. You can go and connect to people, you can speak to them, right? But ideally, it is knowing about your strength first, that why someone will partner with you, right? It's far more easier when you are in a very, very big organization where people will just take up your call, answer to your emails, but very difficult in a middle level and smaller setups, right? So I think what is very important is to know even one or two core strengths of your firm. There will be something that you'll be bringing to the table, right? and sometime it might be a case, Rupali, that you are not bringing something to the table day 0. You might bring to the table day 30, day 60, or day 90 after the strategic partnership takes place. For example, just to give you, example within the sports domain, if you say that I have a sports marketing agency, right? And if you want a particular, you want to sign a big celeb, why will a big celeb come to you? You haven't signed any big celeb in the past, right? So what will you do? You can actually show that, what you have done, beyond a big celeb, with your background, right? So, in strategic partnership, sometime for the other party, you have to give more day 0, and take less. Do your groundwork about your strength, not about the strength of your partner, because your partner already has a strength. That's why you want a partnership. We are talking about a situation where we are not very strong. When we are very strong, then life is very easy, right? So talk about your core strengths. Maybe your core strength is just one, but also write about your allied strength of your organization, strength of the people in your organization, right? So when you are talking, not only Rupali is talking, there is Rupali's colleague 1, colleague 2, and colleague 3, who can also do the talking, who can also bring something to the table, right? So it's not only about what I would say, the context that you bring to the, partnership. It's also the people that you bring to the partnership. Sometimes you or your team might be 3 or 4 team members. As a group might bring a more significant value, to a partner than you being alone. So bring people together, and not only your, core strength together. Just bring all this together, make a note, as simple as that, go to the, the usual school tactics, write your 10, these are the 10 points that I will talk, discuss it with your team, and then talk to your partner. And I'm sure, one day, one second or third day, you will have a success.
Yes, I can reflect that, because I started working with startup, which is 3-year-old, and now I can I can remind some few pitch which I do generally. So I think I should add some more points, as you told, and definitely can bring more partnership for the company as well. Another small question.
Yeah,
there's another person in my life, in my well-being. So that person is opening a new brand, and I just want to know how much he should invest in doing the partnership, like how much percentage of investment, or the percentage of investment he should do by building the various partnership, because he is new, it's a retail market. So can you give me a little idea on that?
So this is very specific. I'll tell you, Rupali, this is very, very specific, right? I've been a part of the corporate development team and done fundraising, and does exactly this kind of stuff. So this is very specific, very, very difficult to give you an exact answer on that, right? Okay. But I'll be very happy to take this offline. You can take my coordinates from Aditi, right? And we can definitely speak on that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. I'll let you know about this to that entrepreneur who is starting this journey, so that he can take it forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. The biggest, I think you will find the entrepreneurs and people who are working in entrepreneurial ecosystem, they will find them, most satisfied when they are able to, add value to someone who is trying to become an entrepreneur. That's, that gives you the maximum satisfaction, right? But because if they are, because you feel very elated when they succeed, right? So yes, that's, I'll be happy to speak to anyone.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Can I have Kakshi Rawal?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Very good morning, Lalit sir. This is Kakshi Rawal, and I'm an image consultant, soft skills trainer, etiquette coach, and business trainer. Sir, my question is, till now, I have been doing an individual practice in the industry, out of which the maximum was with the schools, because I had from an education background. Then slowly I grew up with real estates, pharmaceuticals, and few of the corporates, which included banking. I've shifted down my office at Delhi, and I'm looking forward to create a huge company, which would be a company which will have a number of consultants who would be experts from the country. My question is, when I go for strategic partnerships, I know there would be people from my own fraternity who would be happy to be in it and be a part of it. But I am not sure about the brands or the corporates getting into alignment, because maybe they won't have the same vision which we have. So I sometimes start thinking, how do I push them or make them understand what we want to opt to do, and how it can be beneficial for both, like the example you shared about Times and Hyundai. I'm very much happy to hear how they both aligned, understanding how it could be benefited to both of the parties. For us, it would be a kind of challenge. So how do I do that?
Right. So Kakshi, as an individual, as far as I could understand your background, right? You have done significantly good work, right? But the objective is to work with to grow this. Bigger is to work with large corporates. That is where you will go from 1 to 10, right?
Yeah.
If not 1 to 100, that is the kind of multiples you need. To really leverage on your strengths. So your strengths are, you have the strength, right? But the other party is too large a corporate, right? For Hyundai and TIL, they were like at the equal level, right? So it was very, very easy, right? And as I said, it is very difficult for people like you to penetrate the corporate. So, so few things, and and these are not something. These are my experiences. First of all, many people will tell you that that go to call 10, 20 corporates, give 20 pitches, one of that will work. They will give you examples. So example of the McDonald guy who went to 1,000 houses, didn't work, then 1,001 guy took it, right? But we don't have 1,000 days, right? And neither the corporates are same 30, 40 years down the line, right? My suggestion will be very simple. So you have done certain work. You could have worked with individuals, maybe a team of 10, 20, 30, right?
Mhm.
So within your profile, first of all, within your social profile, and I'm talking about at this point of time, the LinkedIn profile, right? Get recommendations, from them for the work that you have done and the impact that you have got. Very simple, not much, right? At the same time, your presentation, which should go to the corporate, should not talk much about you, should just talk about the recommendations. Right. So there is, for example, I'm giving you, for example, there is Rupali, there is Manish, there is Lalit, there is Aditi, there is Palak. All right. So for example, if we have taken your services at some point of time, and if you have done well, they will be more than happy to. So that should be part of your presentation, not talking about you less, talking about others, talking about you more. Number one. Second, very important, never do any cold calling. People will say do cold calling. I will say don't do cold calling. For a background like you, because you won't be able to pitch yourself at the right level if you do cold calling. That person is never going to value you, right? Right. If you are 9 on 10 or 8 on 10, he will value that. When you do a cold calling, your value will go to 3 on 10 or 4 on 10 immediately, right? And reaching 8 on 10, you don't want to just underpitch yourself, because your service might be 8 on 10 level, right? And even if you make it, he or she is just going to give you 5 on 10, that kind of work, which you don't deserve. That's an underperformance for you, right? We want, if not better, we want at least the level, you to be valued at the level which you deserve, right? That's the idea, right? So always any call, for example, just give me an example. Suppose you want to reach Times Internet. So it has 10,000 employees. Now with your background, there will be at least one person, who can make this recommendation. Your recommendation, the email should not go from you. Email should go from Lalit Sharma, who is in Times Internet, making a case for Kakshi, without any vested interest, right? So anything. So first is the first part. That is, second part is always through a recommendation. Now finding a recommender may not be easy. It's not an easy job, right? But my point is, I can't believe that with 10, 15, 20 years of experience in 30 firms, I'm not talking about 30,000 firms, in 20, 30 firms, you can't find 30 people. You can find 30 people, a friend's friend, right? Maybe Lalit may not recommend you because I don't know you right now, but once you tell me everything, if a friend of mine has taken your service, right? I'll be more than happy to recommend you, right? And when it happens through a recommendation, right? At least the person will see that email. He will at least talk to me informally. That person might be senior, junior, the top management, doesn't matter, right? But now there are two things. There are recommenders in your presentation. and there is a recommender within the company.
Okay.
Now you are not Kakshi, you are Kakshi plus 2, right? And if Kakshi plus 2 is also not working, then it's not your fault.
Mm.
Then that firm is not for you. Go to the other firm, right? And there are thousands of firms, right? So I think that is the model that I will suggest. This requires a far more detailed discussion, but this is within the time frame that I have. This is something which makes sense for me, if it makes sense for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I will be connecting you on your personal numbers.
Absolutely. I'll be more than happy. I'll be more than happy to speak with you guys and learn a lot from you guys, right? 1 hour is too short a time to, to learn from each one of you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Guys, feel free to ask. Yes, Rehan.
I have Rehan.
Yeah. Hi, Lalit sir. This side Rehan here from Brick Spaces. So we are into a real estate firm where we are catering from past 3 years. There is startup where we have catered for residential and commercial more, and now we are starting with logistics. So in this real estate firm, so how do we digitalize the strategic partnership with the companies? Because now more of the companies, as you know, they have to target some of the higher management and growth expansion. So we couldn't understand the portfolios to right target. So could you please suggest on this?
Right. So Rehan, you guys are in the brokerage space?
Yes, we are into broker, and also we also came up with the service solutions for the interiors, where some of the companies wanted some office space, come the interior solutions as well. So, and those complete end-to-end services we started, and also with apartments and plot selling also.
Excellent. No, I get it where you're coming from. So I have some experience of working with, Fevista Real Estate, almost 10 years back, which used to be the largest brokerage firm, which was acquired by Coldwell Bankers in Gurgaon. So I'll just tell you exactly. So one is the the brokerage part. So we also have Magic Bricks, you might know, within Times Internet. And we are housed in the same building, right? So I'll tell you but you mentioned interiors, right?
Yeah.
That is where the real market is, because the brokerage, a lot of many people are there, smaller, bigger, and it's very unstructured. You will know more than me since you're working in the space, right? It's very difficult to structure the business within brokerage, and many people have tried, some have succeeded, but it's a complicated business just because the kind of people and the approach that Indian market has. Globally, it is far more sophisticated, working through ad networks. India, it is slightly difficult. If you work with even ad networks, it will be a very expensive proposition for you for leads. You won't be able to justify the cost. For interiors, I can have some immediate example for you. So there are some platform so who are the people within the interior design domain? So one are the interior who are self-acclaimed interior designers who have skills, who are single person operation. They do good work, they do pretty good work, but they won't be able to help you. You need to talk to people who are at least a smaller institutions in themselves, right? So I would suggest you to speak with some of the architectural associations in India, not the large architects, because those will be individuals. I don't want you to talk to them, even if they are big guys, right? Talk with the architectural associations. Number 2, right? We have certain publications in architecture, for example, Architectural Digest, right? You should speak to some people there, because you need certain media, not by paying them, right? You derive a different kind of, you bring a different kind of value. That's number. And last but not the least, have you heard of one of the world's largest technology interior firm? Its name is House. You can just write House, just note it down. House, HOW, House. Just Google House, okay? House. Yeah. So what will happen is, so House is it's a $1 billion company in US, and they are very much in India, based out in Bangalore, head office in Bangalore. At some point of time, they had a partnership with Times Internet, because we bring some global companies to India, right? So you must speak with the partnership team of House. I'll tell you why. Because they have partnership stocks, And what they do is they work with very, very sophisticated interior designers, some of the very, very big ones, right? Give them content, give them, market some of their, designs, which can become intellectual properties, right? And I think a player like you will definitely have, some touch points with them once you start speaking with them. And if you are not able to reach the right person there, just, take my coordinates from, from Aditi, send me an email, and I'll give you the, the coordinates of the exact person. You just speak with them.
Sure.
Right.
Thank you so much, Lalit sir. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? No? Well, if there's no questions, I think we can wrap this up.
Yeah, sure, Aditi.
Right.
Yeah, sure. I would say that if anyone wants to even reach out after the session, you can have my coordinates. I'll be more than happy to speak with them.
Yes, of course. It was a wonderful session and very insightful. Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely having you here.
Thanks, Aditi, and thanks for all of you, to making it. Look forward to connecting with you after the call.
Thank you, Lalit sir.
Thank you very much.
Lalit sir.
Thanks.
All are great answers. It's very helpful for us.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Have a
you,
nice day,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks. Bye.